Hey friends, what if I told you you could get modern Wi-Fi 6 performance without blowing your budget? This is the TP Link Archer AX10, and despite its bargain price tag, it might just be the router your home really needs. But after spending time with it, I found there's something it doesn't tell you, and I'm going to dig into that. Stay tuned to see if it's worth your hard-earned cash. TP Link Archer AX10 Product Overview. So, what exactly are we looking at? The Archer AX10 is a dual-band Wi-Fi 6 802.11ax router from TP Link, released a few years ago but still widely sold as a budget pick. According to TP Link's spec sheet, it supports AX1500 speeds, 1201 megabits per second on 5 GHz plus 300 megabits per second on 2.4 GHz, and is designed for smaller homes or apartments, 2 to 3 bedroom, where you want solid modern wireless without spending pro-level money. The key selling proposition? Wi-Fi 6 features plus gigabit ports and decent coverage for around budget router pricing. TP Link Archer AX10 Performance. Okay, specs are cool, but how does this thing actually perform day to day? I used it in a typical American home scenario. Heavy streaming, multiple devices, gaming console, laptop, phone, smart TV, all active at once, and overall, it delivered. According to independent lab testing at RTINGS, it's a decent router if you live in an apartment, condo, or single-story home, with good speeds for most household needs. For example, RTINGS measured around 600 megabits short range on the 5 GHz band and sustained usable speeds further away. In real life, I experienced smooth 4K streaming on multiple devices, no obvious lags in online gaming sessions, and quick responsiveness on laptops. The wired ports delivered full gigabit speeds when hooked up via Ethernet. So if your internet plan is in the hundreds of megabits range rather than multi-gig, this one keeps up. Features and tech. Let's talk tech. What stands out, and more importantly, what benefits you will actually feel. Wi-Fi 6 support. The AX10 supports 802.11ax on both 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz bands. Specs show 1201 megabits on the 5 gig band plus 300 megabits on 2.4 GHz. Why it matters? If you've got newer devices, phones, laptops with Wi-Fi 6, you get better efficiency, less lag when many devices are active, thanks to OFDMA and MU-MIMO. Full gigabit wired ports, 4 times 1 gigabit LAN ports, plus 1 times 1 gigabit WAN port. Real-life benefit? If you connect your gaming PC, NAS, or streaming box via Ethernet, you'll hit the full speed your ISP delivers, assuming under 1 gigabit, which many budget routers don't always guarantee. OneMesh support. It supports TP Link's OneMesh mesh extender compatibility, so if your home is large or you find dead zones, you can expand later. In practice, if you start in a one-level home but upgrade later, you don't necessarily need to trash the router, you can build around it. Decent range for its class. RTINGS's range score was decent, around 7.2 out of 10 for a standalone unit. Real world, I got good signal in most rooms of a 2,500 square foot house when router placed centrally. So yes, you get modern wireless tech, wired flexibility, and room to grow. Design and build. Aesthetically and physically, the AX10 doesn't scream luxury, but it does its job and has practical touches. The case is a matte black plastic with subtle angular patterns on top. Not flashy, but minimal, and should blend into a living room or office. 4 fixed external antennas, non-removable, give you flexibility in aiming the signal. The underside has screw slots for wall or ceiling mounting, which is a nice little bonus if you want to tuck it away. The build feels solid enough, no squeaks, ports line up cleanly, and TP Link's app or tether or web interface is intuitive to set up. One thing, no USB port. Yep, that means no local file server or NAS plugin via USB, which some higher-end routers offer. Pros. Solid Wi-Fi 6 performance at a budget-friendly price. You're getting future-proof tech for less. Full gigabit LAN and WAN ports make it wired device-friendly. Simple setup, OneMesh support, good for a 2 or 3 bedroom home right out of the box. Value. For the money, you're punching above the price point compared to many older devices. Cons? Doesn't support 160 MHz channel widths or DFS channels according to RTI-NGS, which means in very dense wireless environments, it may be more prone to congestion. If you have a large home, multi-floor, thick walls, or you're streaming from the furthest corner, you might see drop-offs or want to move up to a more premium router or mesh system. Final verdict. So, who is the Archer AX10 for, and is it worth your money? Look, if you're in an apartment or a modest house, have a decent internet plan, say up to 500, 600 megabits, and want to upgrade from an older Wi-Fi 5 or basic Wi-Fi 4 router, this is a really smart move. It gives you modern Wi-Fi 6 tech, full gigabit wired ports, and decent coverage, all without spending a ton. However, if you're a power user with multi-gig internet, a house with dead zones, tons of smart devices,